Hello, today we're going to learn about LOFT. For our sample, I'm going to bring in a shampoo bottle in as an image. It's a head and shoulder shampoo. I'm going to go to the front, plane, and create a sketch to be able to bring the image inside. So under tools, sketch tools, sketch picture. There we go. We're going to find our Head and Shoulder shampoo, and I have measured this before, so we can just go through it. The Head and Shoulder shampoo is about 8-inch tall, so I'll just come in and put a center line down my origin, down the origin for 8 inches. We can see that image came in very large. Just grab the corner. As you double click on your image, it puts it in editable mode, right? So I'm trying to match the center with the widest point. We are not revolving this, so we don't really need a center line. It's just my guide for myself. All right, that seems to be centered on the widest point. And I have the height correctly. Perfect. So this is going to be the reference. I'm coming out of the picture and changing the name for the sketch, the picture. All right, so we're going to talk about what we will do today. So as you can see, the Head and Shoulder shampoo is a bottle that's based in ellipses. So if we look at the form, let's pick a blue color. There's a ellipse on the bottom with a cutout. Sorry for the there's an ellipse on the bottom. And then there's a cutout here. There is the widest point. Another ellipse. There's a smaller cutout. And all the way in the top, we also have an ellipse, which is very similar to the first one. It doesn't let me draw on the top. We'll just draw it. Imagine if this is the highest point. Ellipse there. So we draw 3 sketches on 3 different planes. The way we analyze loft and how many profiles we need from a sketch to sketch, we usually count for the top, the bottom, and anytime the form gets thin, so the thinnest point, or the widest point, right? For example, here. So this would be 1 plane, 2 plane, 3 plane, and 4 planes. If our shape also changes, so for example, if we're going straight, but the top is circular, the bottom is a square, we also create that with loft. So it's basically transitioning from one form to the other. On this one, you only need 2 profiles or 2 planes. And mostly all the planes, mainly they're parallel to each other. You can also do a radial loft, which basically you have a center line and then you have sketches about that center line, and basically you'll do a connection that way. So it's kind of like a revolve, but like a deformed revolve. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and create first these 3 planes for this Head and Shoulder shampoo. The widest point is almost about halfway. Once we do that, then we're going to create this form as one loft, one shape. And later we're going to come in and split basically this top portion. I'm gonna split this part and this part. And then once we have three parts, we're gonna go ahead and treat each part separately and kind of refine those parts. Let's get it started. I'm gonna be on the, I'm gonna select the top plane as my reference geometry to create new planes. So the height overall is 8". If I need two planes, I need to go at looks like this one didn't count to 8. So two fours created 8, and that looks perfect. We have one on the widest point and one all the way to the top. A common mistake with the loft and the planes are that because these planes are parallel, sometimes you by mistake could sketch on one or the other. So it's always a good practice to pick your plane and straight go to sketch. And once you start sketching, just rotate and check which plane you're sketching on. All right, I'm going to start with an ellipse tool. I'll start trying not to hook on this because it will limit our editability. Make it horizontal. And I have the measurements already from an existing bottle. So this is a 3" and the height is 1.5. And I'm going to rotate by holding shift and the top arrow. This kind of looks too big for this one. We're coming in and cutting this part off, by the way. So I'm going to go back and move this to the right side slightly and test it out. That looks much better. So then I'm going to put down the line. So doing a vertical line from top to bottom. This measurement from this line all the way to this point, that is 2.5. Also, I'm gonna check this way. This is slightly off to my image. Although I have the real products, I'm gonna actually shift these to the image so it looks slightly closer. So I'm gonna go 2.75 on that and maybe a 2" on that. Let's check. Got slightly smaller than I wanted. Move this here. So maybe 2.25 on this. This is again trial and fail because we are trying to test it based on an image. 2.2. That looks good. It's right under here. And we're right under here. So as you can see, this is not black yet because my center and origin are a little bit apart and I don't have a measurement on here. Super small. Might as well just do a 0 and put it on. The other reason for this being blue is that it could rotate. So this shape is not hooked. So there is a chance for it to rotate on you. There's always good idea to hold shift on the origin and one side and set them horizontal. Now you can see everything turned black. We don't need this portion anymore. As you can see, the form is cut off on one side. You can see. All right, our sketch 1 is finished. Now I'm going to go ahead and try the sketch 2 on plane 1. Going to sketch, again using our ellipse tool. If you can't find the ellipse tool, you can always go to tools, sketch entity, and find it here as well. So again, I'm trying to be parallel. So this time I know the right side on the image. If you can see, all the right sides, they line up. So I'm gonna line up my ellipse to the first sketch. This looks slightly wider. The measurement top to bottom is 175. And the width is 325. Let's test that one. 325. And okay, we're also cutting this up slightly. So here would be our, let's say, cut point. And that I have about 3 inches, but we'll have to check with our image. Yeah, that's way too big. I think I want to slightly make this smaller. It's gonna be 3. We can't do that. It's gonna be 2.5. All right, now it's easier. Too small. So maybe 2.75. Let's look at that. A little bit more. Do 2.8. The other thing is there's a really nice narrowness that's happening from here to here. So I'm trying to get that as well. Let's see if I go to 1.7. 1.5. That'll be the same thickness as the other one. All right, that's fine. I'm looking at this connection from here to here. Again, as you can see, everything is blue. I have to set these horizontal, and now we have everything black. Cutting this portion, and we're gonna finish the sketch. So we have our sketch 1, nicely done. Sketch 2, done. Now we'll go to our last sketch. It's gonna be easier. We're gonna pick our sketch number 1 and select one line, right click on it and say select the chain. So we'll select the whole thing and we convert entity to bring it into our new sketch. You can see it came in here. So the width is the same, but the cut is a little bit more. So I'm gonna come in and basically cut it slightly shorter. Checking back, this is still too much. A little bit more inward. Let's test that. That looks good because there's a fillet here, so I'm looking continuous to this curve. Let's measure this one out from the center of the ellipse. This is a 0.4. And we don't need the rest, so I can trim these things off. Actually, this looks slightly too small. I'm gonna do 0.5. Oh, I can't. I cut it. I have to do it before I cut. Let's now trim. All right, great. So we have all 3 sketches done now. To create a loft, all we need is select the sketches and kind of check with this curvature if our loft is correct. If the loft is not exactly on that curve, we're going to come into our plane that's perpendicular to each sketch. In this case, is the front plane. And again, if needed, we're gonna go there and create a sketch connecting all of these sketches and also creating that curve. So here we'll have a connection point, here we'll have a connection point, here we're gonna have a connection point. And now, again, I'm drawing with a mouse, but Solidworks to use this as a guideline. But first, let's test out what we have. I'm gonna hide my planes so it's easy to see. Going to the LOFT tool. It's important where you click on each sketch and the order. So if I click the first one and then the last one and then come to the middle one, it doesn't work, right? It's trying to connect like this. So pick them very similar places and in order. All right. This looks pretty good. You can see we have our narrow area, our wide area, and the midpoint. If I look pretty close, it is actually right on this curvature and this side is flat, so I don't need any guide curves on this one. Here we go. Now, to be able to see the image, you can always go to the section view so you can see your image. I'm going to fillet these, so I need the other side as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do a fillet on this and this for 0.1. And I'm going to fillet the top slightly more, maybe 0.125. 0.125, very round. This portion is slightly less curved, so maybe we'll stay with 0.1. Right, now we have one uniform shape and we can come in and cut out our forms. So I'm going to go to that section view, press OK, and we're going to go to the front plane to create the curves to split this part. So I'm using a spline from here to here, and one more from here to here. So when I try to put this one on a horizontal, because although it looks like it's curving, this is the side, so it has to have a flat portion. Okay, and so is this one. Then make it horizontal. I couldn't see the arrows on that. So that looks good. And trying to match this. This one needs to go slightly up. Okay. There we go. I'm also going to check with the other side. I don't want to go above my fillet. So it's actually pretty close, but it's not above it, which is perfect. Okay, now the sketch is done. I'm going to go under Insert, Feature, Split. So it has my sketch chosen. You say Cut Part. Once it cuts, you see 1 part, 2 part, and 3 part. We're going to keep all 3. Press check. Great. Now I'm going to come out of the section view and maybe hide the sketch so we don't see it anymore. All right, so this is our base part. This is the mid portion and this is the top portion. So we can go now one by one and edit them. So this top portion, all there is to it is a shell. So we can go ahead and create, we have to make the same shell thickness for all of these parts. I checked show preview. I'd probably do it 0.05. 0.1 is too thick. Even 0.05 seems awfully thick for this. So I'm going to do 0.03. All right. So this is our top portion. It's all done. And I'm gonna hide this now, and I'm going to go to my second part. See this one and show that. So this one, as you guys see, has a indent in it, right? It has that finger part in there. So I'm gonna come in and create that. This looks like a revolve cut, or it could be a loft cut. So I'm just gonna do a revolve cut, but I need a plane here. So if I show my planes again, you can see I have a plane right on the top. Which I could slightly use, but I'd rather have more control. So I'm going to create a plane a little bit lower than that. I can pick this as a reference, go to planes, and maybe point, I don't know, 2, flipped, a little bit higher, 0.15. That seems like right in the middle of that cut. So on that one plane that we built, we're going to start sketching. And on this revolve, so my center line needs to be far out. I need to look at the other side. So I want to see this side so I can start cutting. Therefore, I'm going to come out of my section view and actually I'm just going to flip and draw it on that side. Let's see. If I switch the direction of my section view, it helps, but then I can't see the cut. All right, so it looks like we're stuck here. I'm just gonna come out of the section view, create this, and then once I have the cut, I'm gonna refer back to that. We're still in sketch. Put my center line outside of the shape and probably use the ellipse tool. Again, we're testing, right? So this is cutting slightly that part. So you can see this is the entrance. My entrance is over here. So I need to definitely shift my ellipse to the right a little bit. And maybe make it smaller. Okay. That probably helps if I connect these so I can have some measurements happening. So from the origin to the center right now, it's 0.43, that's 2.4. And right now we're only removing a little bit. 0.125. Try to round things off. It was a 1.25. Okay. And also maybe the width, that will help us. 2.6. As I'm revolving, I need to close the sketch and actually remove one side. So I actually don't need this bottom portion. And I can right click on that and change it to solid line. Here we go. So now the sketch is closed. We can try a revolve cut using this line as our axis. You can see how this is affecting now our form, right? So let's press check on that. It seems to be too wide. So it's nice that we can see here and here. Okay, all we need to do is make this ellipse slightly smaller and that should line up. And it's, if I mentally take a note from here and do this, yeah, the bottom looks pretty good actually. So just shifting and making that ellipse is slightly smaller. So this width, and go to 2.5. And maybe I push this to the right. 0.42. Okay. Hopefully that took care of everything. This part is good. Slightly needs to be cut less. So even more. Let's see. 2.4. And 0.43. So I'm trying to shift this off the other side. Let's look at that. Pretty good. All right, nice. So we have a nice fillet on this. Before we shell, we try to do our fillet. That is a 0.1 fillet. I put this in. And also fillet the top slightly. Too big. 3 point. So the top is going to have a secondary lip. So maybe I'll wait before I do any fillets on this actually. Oh, it does not. All right. We'll do really small fillet, 0.03, 0.05. And that looks good. And now we can come and shell from the bottom. Oops. Shell from the bottom. Just like the other one, we're going to do 0.03. So we know there's an opening here and on the top, but first we need to create our base. Once we create that, then we'll go ahead and add that piece on. So now we can turn off this portion and turn on the main body. All right. If you look at the picture, you can see here there is this circle that's connected to that base, right? There's a loft. So first, if I look very close, there's a step in and a step up. So we're going to create that first. Okay, to create that, we're going to go to this surface. We build everything as a solid, and once we have everything, we shell all of it together. On that, we're going to look for offset on surface. So offset on surface. So you can see this is nicely giving us the offset. This looks too big, so we're going to do 0.05. Pretty nice. All right, and press check. I'm going to try to extrude this up slightly. So extrusion, and usually when you try to extrude from a formless way, it needs direction. So it doesn't know which direction to go. Let's see if I can use that. Very good. All right, that is too much. 0.05. I'm checking on that white. Yep, I did not want to do that. Okay. All right, that looks great. So now we come loft from here and we create a circle there. We loft from that to that. Alrighty. So we just create a lip for the other part to sit in. Now we need to create that circle. To do so, we need to put a plane there. So I'm going to pick my third plane as a reference. Actually, that might be too hard for you guys. So I'm going to pick my top plane as a reference. Make a new plane. So let's try 7.75 because the whole thing was 0.8, right? Okay, too high. 7.5. Close. I go slightly less. 7.35 maybe. Oop. 7.4. Perfect. So 7.4 is where we're going to add this plane and go sketch on it. This is a circle. Again, I'm trying not to hook in the middle because our middle, but this middle is very different. Okay, let's see if I can move this. No, I cannot. I'm gonna shift it to the right slightly. And the width. So here, this plane is covering my view. I'm just gonna click on that and hide all my planes. The right side is good. This is too big of a circle. So let's measure it and make it smaller. So 1.6, let's try 1. And I think I'm gonna have to shift it to the right. 0.26, 0.3. Let's look at that. Pretty close. Maybe 0.325. All right, right on. That looks pretty good. The circle could be slightly smaller. Let's do a 0.9 on that. I got too small. 95. Perfect. Okay. So now that we have our circle, and we can use this face, we're gonna loft these together. So let's go to feature, loft, pick the face, make that form. Just gonna try to pick the closest piece to that to create that loft. Right, it looks pretty evened out on all sides. It's good. And I'm also looking at the picture. We're gonna come in and fill out this part portion. And press check. All right, nice. Let's see if we can fill out this one. I may not like it, but I'll try. Okay, 0.05 is actually working. We'll wait for this while it is syncing. So the next step is to use the circle now and kind of go up. And then from the top, we have a second layer coming and covering that. Okay, it's like, it doesn't like that. So I'm gonna give up on that. I'm gonna sketch on this. This is simple. We just press convert entity. It picks that circle and we extrude up. So I'm going to extrude up just a little bit, not all the way. Actually, I can see the white. Okay, go to that. And then on the outside, from the top, there's also an extrusion coming down. So this is that. And let's see if I can fill up this. Just a somewhat of a fill up. All right, now this is ready for shell. So let's go ahead and shell its part. Show preview. Okay, nicely done. That's okay. It worked. It worked. I was worried about the steps, but it looks like it looks fine. So now if I bring this portion in, we can see that's nicely sitting on there. And if I do a section cut, we can see what's happening. So we want to go to the section cut and now add the cylinder coming down from the other part. Actually, gonna hide this part. Let's see. So again, I don't have a plane up there. Let's see where is our closest plane. Okay, that looks pretty good. We can sketch on that. Actually, I might actually pick a plane that's farther up. There we go. Sketch on that. And again, as a sketch, I'm just gonna pick the outside of this. Do a convert. Okay. And I need a little bit of offsetting. So 0.02 offset on the outside. And I'm not gonna need this one. So click for construction and we'll do a extrude thin. So kind of like a pipe. And the bottom, this is solid. Let's do a thin feature. This is too thick. And 0.03. That was all of our wall thickness, right? So basically, try to kind of come down and cover this. There's probably a notch that this clicks in. However, our start point can't be the surface. Our start point, we're going to change from sketch plane, change it to surface. I'm going to pick this surface. Let's see if that works out. Let's see. Doesn't show it. Sometimes the thin feature doesn't like to be surfaced. So yeah, you see that? As soon as I take out the thin feature, it works out. So I might as well just do this as a separate body and not connect it to anything because it can come in and shell this one. Or another way is to actually draw the second circle here. That might be faster. When I do this, offset 4.03, that's our wall thickness. And one more time, do a feature extrude from surface, pick the surface, and 8.4, pretty much 0.35. Okay, now the body it needs to connect is only this one. So let's check on that. And then let's cut. Oh, I said cut rather than extrusion. I wanted to extrude. One more time. From the surface. There we go. And we're only merging to this body. All right, perfect. So, funny enough, the top of the piece, the hole is a little bit offset to the side. So if I put this like that and kind of look from the top, and I'm going to pick one of the planes that are more close. Here's plane 2. Do a sketch. Now we're creating the hole on the top. So it's somewhat center, but more close to the bottom, interestingly. And this is about a 1/4 inch diameter. 0.25. So it's a smaller piece. Actually, maybe 0.3. Looks better. All right, and we're going to measure height and width to the origin. All right, this one I can round off 0.15. On the other one, I was trying to stay on the center line of the other circle. Shortcut. And quick. Nice. So we can see the whole small fillet on that. 0.02. Okay, perfect. Alrighty. So we have all of our parts. I'm gonna show this one too. The only thing is the hinge on the back, which we can do later. I don't need this fillet. Let's delete that one. Yeah, they're supposed to come together very fleshed. Perfect. Okay, maybe we'll put a super thin fillet on the outside for 0.01. So just a gap maker, kind of. It's hard to even pick it. Oh, they're on two different edges. I can do that. Two different bodies. Let's check this one. Okay, that looks good. And like that, fillet, same thing. So it just adds a bit of a part line to this form. And I'm going to come and add a little bit of material to this. Last touches. So if you want to fully render, you can always go to Keyshot and do that. I go low gloss because shampoos are usually not very glossy. And the top portion was slightly transparent, so I'm going to see if I can find something more like clear plastic. See if there's a blue one. No, maybe a glass. And there's some. All right, there's a blue one here. I'm picking part. And it's not the perfect color. Take glass, maybe that's another one. Oh. And same one for the top. As you can see, if we put on actual plastic parts, that will show much darker. So same on both sides. Okay. So I turned off my lines. Now you can see this looks beautiful. And if I just do a section view, we can see we have the same form. All right, nicely done. Thank you for listening.